If you want to know why we weren't there on Monday morning, Rassie Rasmus had told the world he'll be announcing the Bok team on Tuesday morning. So we thought we'd wait for that Bok team and discuss it. Alas, he has not announced.
You lied to us.
You lied to us, Rassie. He's taking it to Thursday. So we will be reflecting on the Bok's 61-7 win against Japan and a few other test matches.
61-7.
61-7. And no one got that score right. Someone had a 63-5.
Not good enough.
Not good enough. Ace said, no, you do not get the prize in our competition structures. So we're going to reflect on that, kind of look, we can play box selector again and look at the permutations and also then put Japan into a bit of context. We're going to look at the All Blacks and Ireland, obviously Australia and England. Those are going to be the relevant ones. Who starred, who didn't, who kind of brought a smile to Zels' face and kind of who made him cringe from the Japanese 15. So for my Sunday Times lead at the back page, a rugby lead, this was my intro. 3 penalties within 3 minutes to the Springboks and a 5-pointer within 5 minutes to the King, Siya Kolisi. Bok fly of Sasha Feinberg-Mngomezulu banded over from the touchline, added 2 of his own through individual attacking genius. The match as a contest was over within 20 minutes, and Japan's fighting pre-talk of physically dominating the brutal Boks looked more comedy than any realistic ambition. Several of the Boks played their club rugby in Japan, and this was never going to be a test. Those South Africans in the matchday squad were going to disrespect. Respect characterized the opening quarter as the Boks put on a masterclass befitting a team ranked 1 in the world, while Japan, brave but outclassed, accepted they were only going to be the support act at Wembley.
Beautiful, mate. You summed it up.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, man.
See you on Thursday.
Cheers.
Well played.
And I did write that after 7 minutes. No, after about 20. After about 20, I was good to go with that match report. Okay.
Yeah. Mate, fantastic win. I was most impressed by the performance. I mean, for me, the Boks played a fantastic game of rugby in terms of their game management, their decision-making, their option-taking. I thought they treated Japan with a lot of respect. They came out and did all the sort of checklist stuff. They built an innings. They dominated the set phases. And they didn't win 61-7 from the first whistle. As much as the first 7 minutes gave away where the game was going, they didn't come out and try and set a record score from the first second. So I loved that because that measured performance, the pressure and the toll of that eventually gave way to a second half where the Boks just ran away with it. And we got a 61-7 result. So that's exactly how the Boks need to play, is to come out and apply pressure early on, respect your opponent by putting points on the board, make them chase the game, which feeds your ability to counterattack and attack of transition, especially with Mr. Magic Man Glitch at 10, who can conjure tries out of nothing. I think if Japan was a blueprint for the future in terms of how they played, the future is very exciting.
Agree with you fully there, and it was Japan. They are ranked 13th in the world. I got wily old Eddie there. Gary Gold's been in the mix. Victor Matfield's been helping them. 19-15 in Tokyo against an Australian side that had 9 of those who started against England. Excellent performance for them. But the difference in class and quality was down to the mental attitude of the Boks. And I felt that the approach mirrored if they were playing France or the All Blacks or England. The intensity was there from kickoff.
Yeah.
Defensively, they smashed them. When the gauntlet was put down that they were going to physically dominate the Boks, okay, interesting. The miracle of Brighton was spoken about too much. That was 2015. We've now played them 3 times subsequently. Hammered them in a pre-World Cup warm-up 2019. Beat them 29-3 in a quarterfinal, which anywhere else would have been 69-3. They had the world against them, the Boks. They scored that 50-meter mauling try. It was a very good second half performance there to win in those conditions. And then absolutely dominant on Saturday, but dominant in the way you expect a really well-drilled and disciplined outfit to be. Those kind of games can easily become 65-30.
Spot on.
Boks good enough to know Japan, you score, we'll go score straight away.
Yeah.
And it becomes Harlem Globetrotter, coast to coast, as you say, side to side.
Yeah.
It looks easy on the eye, but it's actually a shambles. That game, there was as much kicking as there was running. There was very little lateral attack. We were going forward. Sasha one of the more balanced games I've seen him play. He knew when to put boot to ball.
Yep.
He also backed himself to skin the defense when individually when he felt it was on.
Yep.
And just the way they made Japan defend, and we kind of never got impatient either. And those conditions were terrible. They were very difficult. And it wasn't a case of get the ball to Colby at fullback, get the ball to Curtly Arendse quickly, let them run from 10 meters from their own try line. There was such good kicking for field position. There was such intelligence around that. So, yes, it wasn't France or Ireland that they were playing, or England or New Zealand, but it was how they want to play, and that impressed me the most. There was such confidence in their own game. And for the first time this season, an 80-minute performance of proper Springbok intelligent rugby from a dominant team that was willing to do the hard yards at the line-out, lost 1 in 17, at the scrums, knew when to also just hold on their own ball, and defensively were as strong as they were good on attack.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any coincidence there. I think, they played clever rugby and they got a fantastic result. For me, and I know it's Japan, but the way that they played brought the best out of their players. Malcolm Marx and Jasper Wiese were imperious, fantastic form, ball carrying and at the breakdown. I thought it just brought the whole, the collective was at its best again. And we haven't seen that for some time. It's been very patchy from the box. There's been sort of moments of individual brilliance. We've had patches of good play, but not the sort of consistent 80-minute performance where you go, I can see what they're trying to do, and they're executing it to a high level, and all of the players are making contributions. So I thought it was superb.
But even 33-0, change ends 26-0 up. Japan not in the game. Had no chances. Then they scored. Then it was, pressure wasn't being built into points. And that's where you would see a proper dominant team start getting a bit loose, getting a bit frustrated. They didn't. Japan scored against the runner play with a player down, quick tap and go. There was still a calm. And then 33 became 40. And then you knew it was a bit like that Georgia test match. The last 10 minutes, another 10 minutes would be another 20 points.
Spot on.
But it also wasn't just helter-skelter rugby. It was the Ches and Colby counter-attack, the look-up, the chip, the Curtly Arendse gather, the score. That's just world-class reading of play. It shows what Chesn can do from fullback and how he brings good winners into the game as well.
Spot on.
Everything you've been saying for years, why he could be even more lethal at fullback than he is on the wing. And then Ethan Hooker, I mean,
jeez,
that guy had more actions in the first 7 minutes of that test match than I think he had in 200 minutes for the Sharks.
Yeah.
He was more involved.
Yeah.
The ball, they know how to get the ball to him. He's so strong in the air. And defensively, he's a machine. I mean, when that Japanese forward ran at him, he put him back to Twickenham, and Wembley, quite comfortably.
Yeah.
So I was just...
Yeah. Those are our two wingers. Ethan Hooker and Curtly Arendse are the two wingers. Ethan is untouchable under the high ball, makes great decisions. Curtly is a great finisher, but what makes them both our best options on the wing is they are both massively clutch. They are always in the right place at the right time, making the right decision. And even though there's other guys out there, you could say, oh, he's faster, he's got a better step, he's stronger, whatever. Those two guys just have that. Slapchips had that. He was just him and Brayton were always in and around the right part of the game at the right moment. And they back in those days, they called them opportunist tries. But I think these two guys are the guys for that job. And I think Chesn definitely has the legs to play fullback.
Yeah, I mean, and that trio is just such a powerful trio. And then you also think Chesn's got a very strong kicking game. It's probably one of the most underrated aspects of his game. He can bat that ball 50 meters. He can kick for goal. He can kick drop goals. So if you give a straight kick onto him from 30, 40 meters out, he'll have a go with that. But he keeps the defense guessing.
Yeah.
And despite the smallness in stature of a Curtly and a Chesn, they've always been very good under the high ball. They know how to chase and they know how to get up.
Yeah.
So Fassie's out. Willie Leroux's not on tour. Damien Willemse, we don't know if he's going to be ready to play. He's an option to play in the midfield, off the bench, or at fullback. Do you go for France? Do you go with the same back three again?
I mean, I like the look of it. I know it is France, different opponent, different challenge, but I mean, I don't know. Fullback-wise, I wouldn't make a change. No, I think Curtly did enough there and showed he's got massive potential. Massively experienced player, has played in France, knows the conditions, so he has to play regardless, whether it's on the wing or at fullback. Rassie will play him. So, yeah, I think as many of the French players that you can get into the team as possible is a good idea. And for me, Chesson should start at fullback.
Okay, looking at the other components of the split, the 6-2, Andre the Giant making a greater impact as a flank.
Jake was right.
It was pretty much flank. Scored from a rolling maul, disallowed for double banking, and then got over from a pick and go and a drive. The only more popular try was Wolkerlo's magnificent effort from 64 meters out, where he took the ball, scooped it up in one hand, sidestepped, and then kind of went over under the sticks.
Wow.
Any good prop who knows how to run an inside line of Sasha knows his beans.
Yeah.
And that's where Walker was, on his inside for that pass.
Well, mate, any good tight head prop would have dropped that ball. I know Tank Lanning has spoken to the guys at the tight heads union. You're not actually allowed to catch a ball if you belong to that union. Walker broke the rules. I'm sure there'll be a disciplinary, but a fantastic try from the big fella. We love him, old Quadzilla. And great to see him getting across the try line. Just a fabulous performance for everybody involved with that team. And obviously just the sad news around Ox not being available, and injuries cut him down now, so probably an opportunity for Gerard Steenekamp to start.
But that does speak to, again, injuries are part of the game. And it's, one man's poison, another one's opportunity. And sometimes injuries do force you to play a player in a test match that you ordinarily wouldn't have. They come through that and you think, well, we've ticked another box for the World Cup playoffs. Because the likes of France, Ireland, and England, even though we're not playing this year, away from home do represent those playoff type games and the intensity that comes with it. The only escape is, if you lose, you're not going home unless it's the end of the year, you actually get to play the next week.
Yeah.
But just the fact that if you look at the side that started, and we spoke about that last week, I was very chuffed that Rassie had shown the occasion respect with the squad that he picked. And even when he picked Zach Porth, and he gave him the biggest insurance policy of Walker Low, and he gave him a very good
tight four.
A very good tight four or back five behind him. Okay.
Spot on.
And the youngster got through 40 minutes. He's a test player. He looked comfortable, but he's in the system, which is great. And then to see Lurt, just looking like the Lurt of old, taking charge. Adgia, the Viking, seems to have settled now. He's not at Leinster. I think he has the biggest problem adapting to coming out of a Leinster system into a box system.
Totally, yeah.
Where he's the superstar there.
Yeah.
And here he's just 1 of 5.
Yeah.
And also the kind of way he plays. And then King Khaleesi, he plays his 100th. He led from the front. And nice to see Sos also get a run. I think Sos must have loved playing a Japanese team where he was winning. Because he plays for Honda Heat and they hardly ever win a game. Yeah, and then obviously we know what we've got with Damien Diolande and Jesse Curl. That's not going to change. Those will be, for now, your midfield in the big games of the year tour. And also knowing you've got the likes of Damien there, Kane and Moody. I mean, we are blessed. Ethan Nuku ultimately to come into the midfield. So I like that. And I don't see too many changes I don't see too many changes in the starting 15 for the French match. Saturday night, 10 o'clock kickoff in Paris. First time they're back there since winning the quarterfinal 29-28. There may be tweaks in the bench. Where would you tweak, and where do you think the obvious ones that are coming into that starting 15?
So, mate, if he was healthy, if there was no question mark around his health, I think Sasha and Gaza are a very interesting 10 and 12 combination, and they make the box very, very dangerous. And I think that the perception of that danger opens up opportunities for other guys on the field. So as much as we would miss the hammer of Dukes going forward all the time, having Gaza there as a guy who can make people miss in traffic and also has a boot on him and some distribution skills, next to Sasha, those are two massively explosive players with massive game-breaking ability. So I don't know the status of Gaza, if he's healthy or not, but I think Rassie would be very tempted to start the two of them in a match like this.
And no Diolande.
And potentially no Diolande, because I think you have to look ahead. I mean, how many more times are you going to play France in Paris before the next World Cup? And it is a massive challenge. There are things that you learn from playing these teams in their sort of backyard in those conditions. So, yeah, again, I don't think Gaza's 100%. I'm not sure whether he is going to be a guy that they look at in the starting lineup. But if he isn't, obviously, Dukes is a fantastic option there. And, he's got a great track record, 1-2 World Cups. So him and Jesse, great combo. But, I'm very reticent to kind of get into because of last week, Rassie will do this week, because he's shown time and time again that he kind of vacillates. And not out of reaction. He plans to vacillate. So I don't think France know what's coming. I think the delaying of the team announcement may be related to some of that stuff, a bit of mind games. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if Rassie changes significant parts of this team, specifically in the back line for this game. So France are basically looking back to the Rugby Championship to find another time in recent history where these combinations have played together. I think Cheslin is a real fear factor for France because they've seen what he can do. There's massive respect there for him. He won't be uncomfortable in any way at Stade de France. I think we've got great options in Ethan Hooker and in Curtly Aronson. The makeup of the midfield, I don't know. I think Dukes and Jesse are a very safe option. I'm also not sure how the game is going to play out in the sense that at that World Cup, when we played them last, they made sure that we had very few lineouts in that game. They kicked infield, they didn't kick out, and it changed the shape of that game a bit. And I'm not sure how the Boks are going to respond this week. So I see Fabian's already spoken about they're expecting a big contestable kicking game, and they've prepped a lot for that. I think the Boks may have some plans around that to kind of shake things up a little bit. In the same way that Gaza did the old catch and let's scrum thing, I think we may have some wrinkles in the way the Boks play this week that unsettle France. And I think the composition of the team will match that. That's why I think if Gaza's available, a potentially more mobile, off-the-ball work rate kind of team may work in the Boks' favor. But I'm just speculating. So yeah, if Gaza was available, I would definitely look at him. I think the makeup of the pack changes, obviously. I don't think Zach starts this match. I'm not sure Sos will stick around for this one. I'm assuming that some of the regulars come back into the mix, and Jasper Visser will be central to plans to go forward.
Right. Sasha, FM, he is our Stecco. We agreed on that. We agreed on that straight after the match. He's our Stecco play of the week. The first try he scored, was it the first or the second?
The second one.
The second one, where he just skinned them. Like you said, everything slows down.
I've never seen anybody like that, man. When he touches the ball, it's like the other team goes onto half speed. I mean, he just bent the corner to break the line, then stumbled. This is while the line's coming across. Stumbles, gets his feet again, and still outpaces. I don't know. How do you do that? Is he an Olympic sprinter?
He is a freak.
La freak.
La freak in the nicest possible sense.
La freak de suit.
However, I'm going to ask you something, because if Damien Willemse does play 12, he would have played 10 for the Boks against France in Marseille at 30, 20, 60 feet. Where Peter Steph got sent off. He'd never been sent off. And we should have won that game. He played 15 in the quarterfinal, where we won 29-28. The French would say we should never have won that game. And he could play 12. So that just shows his versatility.
100%.
I think it may count against him that he hurt that hamstring against Benetton, and you really need 23 players to fire in that game. I'm with you that I don't think he's going to tamper with that back three. I think he's going to go the conservative route, which is he wants to get this win in Paris as well. The one thing is, does he pick Sasha or not? And why I'm asking that is he's picked him for 4 successive matches.
Yeah.
Now, I'd pick him every match of this tour because he is just a form 10 at the moment. And Mani coming off the bench is coming off in very favorable positions and actually doing particularly well. And we know what we got with Andre Pollard, back-to-back World Cup winner. Game time's been managed. But there's this love affair with Sasha overseas now that I saw with Bobby Skinstad when he went over. And it turned a lot of the South African public against Skinstad.
I remember.
It had nothing to do with Skinstad.
Yeah.
It was his brilliance.
Yeah.
And when the interviewer asked Sia, is this going to be the Sasha Feinberg-Mngomezulu tour? Is this the show? And Sia was like, no. He's one of 3 fly-offs. He's really progressing well. He's got great backline coaches. He's got great coaches. He's got 2 great fly-offs in the squad with him. One's won 2 World Cups. The other one's a part of a World Cup winning squad. And he said he's got a great pack of forwards, and without the forwards, he wouldn't get the ball. So there's this absolute collective within the team to say, we're keeping his feet planted on the ground, which I get, but it's not Sasha saying, I'm the best. I'm a generational talent. People are right in that. And that South African mindset of, mate, let's just pull this person down. It's so frustrating.
I don't understand that.
I just hope that it's a case of that Rassie and them don't succumb to that on this tour and say, we're not picking him because we need to
That'll be a huge mistake.
temper expectations, and we are going to pick Amani to start, 100 to start this one, and Sasha to come off the bench. Or we're going to rest him for this one, and basically Ireland's going to be where he does the thing. I would just like to see him go through, and at the moment, manage Andre's game time. His legs are the older ones, and go with a combination that they've gone with Amani to come off the bench, and a Sasha to start. And potentially change it up for an Ireland game where you think it could come down to 3 or 6 points with Andre Pollard. But it's an interesting dynamic to see how he's divided.
They're working so hard to keep it on the down low.
This guy's, it's like this accusation.
The bus driver, the way that he drives Sasha to the stadium, I mean, he deserves some credit too.
Yeah, and it's like, this isn't just this guy, but we were 7-0 up thanks to a fine opening effort. But who forced the penalty? Sasha. He took on the big forward lead, got the high tackle. Kick to the corner, great kick. We line up, ball drive, see a score. It's fantastic. He bans it from the corner. But that dominance came through 2 wonderful moments of magic. Now, must he stop doing that? But this guy, it's all about himself. 16 points, 37 points.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a question.
That I'm reading on social media.
Let me ask you a question. When Pieter-Steph du Toit was World Player of the Year, when he broke out, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody said, this oak is a phenomenal talent. Nobody was saying, oh, well, look, you have to give credit to his high school line-out coach, his dad made him pull the tractor around the farm when he was a kid. It was none of that. It was just like this, let's celebrate this guy, he's great. So because this guy's got a bit of personality, now we've got to keep it on the down low. Like you say, it's not him talking about this stuff. And for me, people like to say generational talent. This guy's the epitome of that. There is no bigger Andre Pollard fan than me. I love Andre Pollard, and he would definitely be going to the next World Cup for me. But he went to the last World Cup after 6 weeks at the trampoline park. He wasn't involved in anything. And they dragged him back in and he won the World Cup. So he could play no test rugby until 2027 and then work his way back in through that schedule and be ready for the World Cup. We know exactly what you're going to get from Andre Pollard. The only question around him is the age factor and does he have the legs to go there? But the quality of the player is beyond question. So I'm not sure what the value is in playing him against France and Ireland unless we are reverting to the tactics that have won us 2 World Cups, unless we're going back to a very pragmatic, risk-associated game, which we've spent the last 2 years moving away from. So it would make no sense to me to go in that direction. I think Sasha, the thing counting against him is a lack of experience at this point at test level. And you can see in that Japan game how he's matured in terms of his game management and the way he was able to keep the wild chimpanzee in the cage during the game. He didn't try all the fancy moves all the time. He picked his moments and he picked them well. So I think the more game time he gets, the better for his development and growth. And that's good for the Boks.
So, 16 tests now, 2 seasons, pretty much played nearly every team home and away.
Yeah.
To me, that's experience. Like people talk about a youthful team. After 4 years, you're an old team.
Yeah.
In terms of World Cup cycles. Like you, I'm his biggest fan.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he's brilliant for the Stormers. He's brilliant for the Springboks.
Yeah.
And thank goodness he's ours.
Yeah.
He's not playing for England.
Exactly.
He's playing for South Africa, but he's going to have confidence that some may see as arrogance. He's going to have a strut. To be the world's best, you've got to have that strut on the field. Every great cricketer, baseball player, NFL player, soccer player has that strut. That's why they're so good. And that's how do you then manage that within the team environment? But you don't manage it by not playing a guy. You don't manage it by dropping him because his head may be too big. And the South African public really needs to take a step back. Those who are anti this perceived he's all it for himself notion.
Where did that come from?
It comes from their own insecurity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their own projections. And say, hang on a second, we are so blessed to have this guy and let's enjoy everything he does when he goes out there. And know that we're equally blessed to have 2 outstanding 10s who can step in and play in that jersey and a versatile utility back like Willemse as a number 4 and a Colby as a number 5 who can come in and play 10 if needs be.
Yeah.
So when I scroll through the different social media platforms, the one thing that just does irk me, where a week ago it irritated me, now it really irks me, is where do you get this notion that he's selfish? Pieter-Steph du Toit made 28 tackles in the World Cup final. How awfully selfish of him that no one else was allowed to tackle.
Somebody
Jordan
else
Barrett.
tackled.
Why did he always have to knock Jordy Barrett over? We were going, that's just magnificent, cutting him off.
Exactly.
Only thing you haven't done on his toes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I just want us to cut the noise out from the overseas media as well about them highlighting this is the most flamboyant guy they've seen basically since Skinstad, and not punish him for their obsession with him because they just think he's a fantastic, wonderful player.
Hold on.
It's like, let's just appreciate the genius that's there, as opposed to, it's like we've got a thoroughbred racehorse, but you know, he's not as humble as that donkey in our stables.
Yeah.
Why do we always celebrate the donkey, but not the thoroughbred?
But listen, mate, we've spoken enough about the backs. I know the forwards are starting to tune out now. Up front, Ox is out. Do we start Gerard Steenekamp, and who's the cover at Loosehead? What are your options in the front row?
Mate, I would start Gerard Steenekamp with Malcolm Ox, and I would start Tommy de Toy at tight head. I'm buying more into my big man Wilco Low coming on, causing absolute destruction in the last 40. And I think Thomas is matured enough to start well against a very physical French pack. And then for Thomas to even switch to the loose head, if that's an option in the game, if he's going well, Wilco to come in at tight head. So that's kind of what I'd play around with as the starting options. Eben obviously comes back at lock, and Peter Steff comes back into the loose forwards. Those are the gimme changes at 4 lock and at 7 flank. The bench could be interesting. I think Andre Esterhazy may have made a case again to kind of be involved.
And credit to him, man. I mean, like we make jokes, but I mean, the humility of that guy to slot in wherever he's needed, I think is great.
And then is there place for Ronokia and the Viking?
Yep.
And where does that put Kwaka? So I think the bench composition is going to be very cool. If you've been collecting your box cards, I mean, it's everywhere you look. It's the collector box.
Yep.
The ASAP program, Pick and Pay's kind of campaign, get in touch with the box. As we said, I drew out the Rassie Rasmus bonus gold card, which if your collection's complete and you have that, you do go into the draw to win some special prizes in December and January. On Monday, I've got so many emails, so keep them coming. Keo@keo.co.za. Tell me who your hottest player is. Tell me who you think is going to do the damage against France this weekend. And you're going to a draw, and one lucky winner will get my gold bonus card. Look, if you show me that you, like many have, you've got the gold bonus card, you're not getting that from me to swap. Someone who hasn't got it is going to get it, and that's going to be my contribution to you potentially winning a prize, because you'll at least go into the draw. But that's been an incredible campaign, getting people closer to them. But when we look at this collective of this team, they are the most popular team in world rugby. Even though the overseas scribes may not think so. They're the most popular team in South Africa.
Yep.
They're running at an 80% win rate over 2 seasons. Siya Kolisi, with that win, goes past Gary Teichmann, the most successful Springbok captain in history. 73%, plays 71.
Yeah.
Rassie's just gone past Nick Mallett in terms of in the mid-70s for a winning percentage. Nick Mallett, 71.2%. Everyone says Kitch 100% at 14 from 14. Disregard him. We're talking anyone who's coached more than 30 tests. That's the kind of barometer.
Yeah.
And so Siya will celebrate his 100th. Incredible story. He does feature on the cover of SA Rugby magazine as a celebration of those 100 tests and what he's done for the game, and a great innovation with SA Rugby magazine. So if you do go online, you can get the new digital magazine for free now. You just got to register. So you pop in your details there, and it's part of their marketing drive as well, to make that magazine available for everyone in South Africa and also accessible for people overseas.
Yep.
So when I look at that box setup, we're in a brilliant place going into Saturday's La Crunch against France. We're going to obviously be previewing that after the team's announced on Thursday afternoon. We'll do a little Zoom call with each other and chat about how did we get this right and how did we get this wrong. But really have I felt so content after a Springbok performance as I did after that Japanese performance. And once again, put into context, it was Japan. But we have been messy against Portugal. We've been messy against Italy.
Indeed.
We've been messy against teams that we should put away.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of that great All Black team. They put away teams like
exactly
61-5.
Yeah.
We don't ordinarily put teams away 61-7.
We look like pros. We look like world champions.
Yeah, we look good, eh?
Yeah.
We look good. And Sasha was on fire. He was at the 4. What didn't look good was Chicago, Soldier Field.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. What an awful advertisement for the 2031 World Cup. Supposedly teams 2 and 3 in the world. They look like they're 22 and 23 in the world. It was the worst opening start. There was an injury in the second minute. There was a potential yellow card that was then turned into yellow. Then it went to a red. There was 12 minutes had been played, but 21 minutes had gone. 9 minutes of the first 21 was spent looking at a TMO review and waiting for a guy to be carried off the field who wasn't crippled, Jordie Barrett. He could have just been helped off the field and the game had gone on. And that game just never got started till the last 10 minutes when, against all odds, New Zealand actually turned it on Ireland and put them away and could have had another try in the end. It would have made it a 20-point differential.
Yeah.
Just
Shocker.
a weird test match.
Mate, it was like the weekend that pro rugby died in the USA. It was terrible. I mean, Soldier Field is home of the Chicago Bears. Mike Ditka and Brian Urlacher are two greats of the Chicago Bears. And I think in America, if they talk about rugby, they go, I can't believe these guys basically play football without pads on. But if they'd watched a player be sent from the field for what happened between Tyke Byrne and Bowden Barrett, I'm sure Mike Ditka and Brian Urlacher probably were rolling on the floor laughing. It was ridiculous. I don't blame the referee. That's the state of the game. We've allowed the game to devolve into this safety hysteria, and this is what you get for doing that. But it ruined what should have been a great spectacle that really promotes the game in the venue of the 2031 World Cup. And instead, if there were any neutral fans, they're not fans anymore. I'm pretty much sure of that. It was a poor game. New Zealand were not very good. Very lucky to come away with the win, if you ask me. I thought Ireland were the better of the two teams. But just in general, not a great game. How they appointed... I mean, if you're trying to sell the game to the American public, probably pick a referee whose first language is English. You know, you don't really want to be listening on the microphone and the ref is like, it would like to be an hamburger.
I would like to buy a dagger.
You know, you want to hear what the guy's saying. You want to know what's going on. There was no comms there. And the guy, I mean, the way he blew the whistle, you got 62,000 fans at Soldier Field. The guys can barely hear what's going on. The play goes away from him and he blows the whistle like... I mean, nobody can hear. The game carries on for 30 seconds.
1 yard away of 10, come back to...
I mean, how?
And he's such a technical referee. He's got to enforce everything. Okay?
Shocking decision.
I disagree with you when you say Ireland were the better team. Ireland were poor.
No, they weren't so good.
If they were the better team, they would have won by 20.
Yeah.
So there was so much to take out of Ireland's decline from that.
No, 100%.
Than this Ireland team that had hit its straps and is on the go. They've now lost 3 in succession to the All Blacks. They've lost in Paris, they've lost in Dublin, and they've lost in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it took them 111 years to beat the All Blacks for the first time. For me, it was the equivalent of taking 111 years to scale Everest, and then 10 years later going back up and taking your flag out.
Yeah.
Because they went and lost at the Soldier Field now doesn't have that same
100%
kind of like, this is where it happened.
Yeah.
Because a decade later, those...
Big anticlimax. Same guys, different
went back
result.
and lost there.
And
I just thought commercially it would have done well for New Zealand and for Ireland, but as a spectacle, it wasn't there. I think Razor Robertson, he's stumbling onto his right combinations, especially in the midfield. It took an injury to Jordie Barrett to finally get a bit of oomph into that midfield. A big hard runner. Lester, your big mate, doing the running off Caleb Clark, and Satidi coming back to some form. But when I look at the Irish, we see them in the URC. What we do know is that the All Blacks could win the URC because they beat Leinster. And what we know is that Leinster, with 12 Leinster players, can't play against 15 All Blacks.
Correct.
So we know that. And then the one big Munster guy gets sent off for a tiggle, okay? So, it was just...
I think Ireland are, like, those are fantastic players in Irish history. They'll go down as legends and all that sort of stuff. But the era of just winning by being intellectually greater than their opponents is over. This Ireland team doesn't have the edge it used to have. There's too many guys that are there because they're good guys or they're clever guys. They've got good rugby IQ or what. But there's no grunt. There's no punch. There's no hammer. And like we spoke about, Ireland's most sort of impactful player was Stuart McCloskey in the midfield. And they dragged him off to put Bundiaki on for one more run, which was a very, very interesting decision. And that sort of 12, the decision around 12 was relevant to the All Blacks as well. As much as nobody wants to see Jordie Barrett get injured, them being forced into playing a guy at 12 who's physical, direct, and forces you to make tackles actually brought New Zealand into that game. And so we've been saying it for ages now. New Zealand needs to be able to be more physical on the back line because their pack isn't winning consistently. When Satiti came on, like you said in the second half, their ability to dominate the collisions improved, and then that really brought them into the game again. So hopefully some lesson learned there, but I was disappointed. I expected New Zealand to take control of the game and to be convincing winners. I also expected Australia to beat England. I picked that one. Got that completely wrong. I think if England had been in Chicago, they would have beaten Ireland and New Zealand.
With their seconds.
seconds.
Listening to Skalk and Victor, and I enjoy listening to two great, fabulous rugby players for the Bulls and the Stormers, respectively. That's Victor for the Bulls, Skalk for the Stormers, and for the Springboks, 2007 World Cup winners.
Yeah.
The best in their positions. Victor,
Maybe ever.
yeah, as a 5-lock, Skalk World Player of the Year 2004. But their analysis from a player perspective is what you want from good players who come in and actually interpret things you may not see as a layperson or kind of from a television screen. And they played against the best All Black teams in their era, potentially in history, the McCaw Carter teams. And what made it so hard to play against those teams was because their forwards, they said, were so skilled, but indirect. They could be a half a yard outside the breakdown. They'd run at you. They'd get their offload going. So they would play very much a tighter attacking game. They forced you to tackle, kind of created chaos in your defensive pattern before they stretched and went wide with a cross kick or a long pass, or they brought kind of one of their winners in basically back at a crumbling tight 5 defense. And they were, especially in the first half, very critical of these All Blacks who just want to go wide so quickly. Like, they haven't earned the right to do that, you know. Ray's always says you haven't earned the right to offload, but they do it straight up. And side to side, coast to coast, as you always say, lateral running, no impact. And they were talking about, when are they going to be picking these big midfielders that give them that grunt? And they've got them there. You know, you've always said, what about a Caleb Clark at 13? A Leicester at 13? And the minute that happens, and happens by default, it starts looking like something's happening.
They're going forward again.
And then their pack gets into the
Exactly.
He starts taking it straight. And everyone's like, oh, that's the All Blacks of old. It's not. And I think it puts New Zealand in a position, it casts more doubt over what Robinson's doing. Because how have you not seen this in 24 tests?
Precisely.
That's your guy.
Precisely. But New Zealand have been very slow to come around to the fact that their tight 5 and their pack is not dominating the best teams in the world. And I think once they realize that and accept it, that will change the shape of the backs. And ironically, that's what's going to bring their pack back into the game and give them some leverage. But they keep sort of leaning on, you know, pretending like the guy who's starting at 3, Fletcher Newell, that's Owen Franks. It's not Owen Franks. You know, you don't have those guys anymore. You don't have Sam Whitelock. You don't have Brodie Retallick. You can't play like you do. And I think Geordie Barrett would have been superb behind that tight 5. He would have been a real world game changer. But I mean, you're picking a sort of a fencing sword to chop down trees at the moment. You don't have the right guy there. So yeah, they need to change that. I think they, by default, they'll have to now. And I think there'll be benefits for them there.
Yeah, and Jerome Kainu, they don't have that type of player. I mean, Simon Parker is expected to do that role. Right now, he's certainly not in the class of that player. But they got the win. They erased a bit of that kind of hollow feeling from 2016 Soldier Field. And then the All Black 15, the development second stringers, Brentford, took on Dobbo's Barbars, 17 South Africans in it. 19-0 up to the Barbars. Evan Ruiz scored a try.
I saw.
Asante Kabakani scored a try. I think Rob Dupree kicked the conversion. I think another South African scored a try.
Yeah, they were in there, yeah.
Yeah, it was all South African points in that first. Well, there were 17 South Africans there. And 19, I was following it online. I couldn't get the live stream. And then 19-7 just before it. And then 19 all on the hour. And I just thought there's no way they win it. And they didn't. 33-19. Was that kind of like what you expected? Because, look, they were true to the Barbarians week with Dobbo there. I think there was a lot of fun had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure they had a great time in the UK and they played some great rugby, it looks like, for the first 20 minutes. But then it just got away for them. Jamie Joseph coming away with the win. But I'm sure it was a great experience. All those Saffers in that Barbars team, it must have been wild.
And a very interesting choice. Jamie Joseph just nicely settled in the pocket. Just something dramatically happened to Razor. And he steps in before before the next World Cup. Sorry, Razor.
You've been cut.
Okay, so the All Blacks got the win. Irish social media been very quiet because is there a rivalry anymore? Because it's now 3 in a row that they've lost.
Yeah.
So it's 6 out of 11 to New Zealand since 2016's first win that had come in 111 years. So that's now 5 wins in 121 years. They've had 5 wins. You wouldn't think it, eh? You'd think they've had 500.
But that's how I feel about France. As much as they're upset that we beat them in that quarterfinal, the recent track record against France is we've dominated them. So it's not like France always beat us and then we ambushed them at the World Cup. We had dominance against France. It was a close game. You could argue it could have gone either way, obviously. But to feel like aggrieved, like there was an injustice.
Well, it's like the French side now. I think they've got 15 wins out of 65 tests against New Zealand historically. And they had those 3 in a row, and then they obviously went second string as the last 3 in a row. But everyone says it's New Zealand's bogey team in the World Cup. But New Zealand's beaten them in 2 finals at a World Cup.
Yeah.
And beaten them in a 3rd and 4th playoff at the World Cup. So if you lose to me twice in a final, I think I'm more your bogey team than if you knock me out twice in a quarterfinal. I don't know.
Touche.
So the last one we're going to look at quickly, and they were really disappointing for me, Australia against England. And I even thought you look at a guy like Joseph Swahili, who's been outstanding, that the try that England scored, he didn't even get up for the ball. That's his strength. And they were 10-0 up, then all showing some gas. They somehow got back through an intercept, but they were just never in it. And did it have an impact, the video that was leaked? They conceded 6 penalties in the first 50 minutes, 5 of them at the breakdown. Do you think that had an impact? Or do you just think this England side that went to Argentina, won the series there twice, a lot of them played in this game, they're a team on the rise?
I think England are definitely a team on the rise. I think that did have an impact because they would have had, even if it was only a 30-second conversation within the Australian camp, they would have spoken about it. And that in itself is a distraction. So I don't think there was too much in the video stuff. Like Joe Schmidt said, they've had 2,500 rucks and nobody's been injured, and et cetera, et cetera. England very much on the rise. Borthwick unashamedly tracing the Bok blueprint. That bench of his, that power bench that came on, massive, massive difference. And I think Australia are, as much as they've made progress and are definitely on the ascendancy, I think they're still in this position that they've been in since probably the Matt Giteau days, where they're trying to pick their best players as close to the ball as possible. And for me, Joe Swahili is a lot like Israel Folau in that he has a unique skill set that few other teams in the world can match. He's going to beat you in the air, even though he didn't in that moment. That's his unique skill. If I was Australia, I'd pick a 10 who can kick it on a dime, and I would have Joe chasing those balls and creating pressure and turnover opportunities in the air, trying to win balls out of there. I think that is a unique proposition. To have him at 13, no doubt he's a fantastic player and he adds value there. But I'm not sure that is getting the most out of his skill set in terms of how much value he can add to the Wallabies. So it is difficult for them. They're playing behind a pack that doesn't dominate all the time. Their best ball carriers sort of come in and out of the team because they're in France, some of them. So it's a tricky act. But England definitely took big steps forward there. This young generation that's coming through there, and a lot like the Sasha thing, the hate for Pollock, just completely misnomer. But Pollock, the 2 Finns, Freeman, they've got something going on there. That team is coming. They're not apologizing for anything. They're there to win, which is a unique thing in RFU history, I think. They're not there to be good chums. They're there to put more points on the board. I think England are going to do good things if they stick to the blueprint they're on now.
England, are you applying for a ancestral visa there?
I have, mate. I have.
Do you have the passport?
Via my Portuguese ancestry.
Yeah, the passport, Ronaldo. I've never heard you so...
No, I like what they do. I love physical rugby, mate. And I love it when Oaks play clever rugby and they use their strengths and they're not... I love to watch people try and win. And I think that's where England are at now. They stopped trying to impress the hacks and trying to play the beautiful game, and they're just trying to put more points on the board. And I think that's going to make them dangerous.
So the 1 November where the real test match would have been England-South Africa, we're playing.
Exactly.
But there's going to be great rugby to come. It's going to be another Super Saturday. And we close it out, obviously, at 10 o'clock when we do play France in Paris. Zels and I will be chatting on Thursday once the Bok team's been announced. But go onto our WhatsApp channel, go on SA Rugby Magazine's Facebook page, and obviously subscribe and like and give us your comments. Tell us what changes would you be made, and kind of tell us why you think people are anti-Sasha. And if you're one of them, grow up.